Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Lauren Bolander, as always, with Captain Rick Murphy. And tonight we're thrilled to welcome back our studio audience for the first time this season.
How
All right,
about
welcome
that,
guys.
Man, isn't that awesome? We got studio audience, a bunch of kids. You know, Lauren, it's Take Your Kids to Work Day, and as you can see in the front row there, I got a couple of my kids amongst a lot of their friends, so it's awesome that we have, you know, showing the kids what we do for work.
Yeah, those don't all belong to you?
All of them.
Oh, man, that's what I thought. All right, guys, let's dive in. This week we talk snook. All 9 of our captains from across the state will be filling us in, and we also have, as usual, Navionics. Rick is going to take you for a closer look at the East region this time. And don't worry, Dave Farrell has in fact reported back for duty at the Workbench. Hey, Dave.
It's not hard to get me here. All you gotta do is say, come on.
That's it, Dave.
We're gonna look at some snooks. We're gonna catch a bunch, aren't we?
I don't know, are you?
Well, yes.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the theme species, Lauren. You know, snook is one of my favorite fish to catch. It's a lot like a bass for those guys that are freshwater fishermen now. The thing that I really enjoy is putting people on their first snook, and this is Cole Castro. This is the first snook he caught with us during spring break. You could tell it's still a little cold. The next picture was taken on Easter Saturday, and this is Kaiichi Ida, and he's one of the engineers that develops all the reels for Shimano. Great fish caught in the backcountry, as you can tell with all the grass there. The last picture that we have, it's Marcel Marino out of Miami, a 25-pound snook that he caught on a 2-ounce jig and a hoagie shrimp, and I'm gonna say that's a monster. And then the third, speaking of a monster, if you guys watch Sportsman's Adventures, you saw this fish last week, a 32-pounder, and that's a record lifetime fish for me, and I'm just so proud of that. That line on that fish, Lauren, I'm gonna tell you it weighed 10 pounds.
I believe it. I believe it. Oh my goodness. Almost as much as me.
That's it.
No.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's kick the night off. In the East, Captain Mike Holliday, you say the snook are on a bit of a surge in the last 2 weeks. Can you tell us why?
There's just been a big push of mullet in the last couple of weeks, and the snook are really taking advantage of that food source. You just pick a seawall, a point, a pothole, anything like that with mullet nearby, and there's snook taking it out as an ambush point. It seems like a lot of the smaller fish arrived at the inlets, while the larger fish are still up in the rivers, but have moved into the shallows. So that means the flats, the sandbars, the spoil islands, and the seawalls and docks are all holding fish right now. So the seawalls around Old Port Cove and also the Intercoastal Waterway near Hope Sound have great snook fights going at first light, as do the seawalls of the St. Lucie River. Get on those walls, right at dawn, throw a topwater plug, or swim a bass assassin dapper down them, and either a snook or a gangster jack will blow that lure out of the water. And then by mid-morning, switch to a live mullet on 50-pound leader and a 5.0 VMC tournament circle hook. Hook the bait in the back or the tail, pitch it up against the seawall and hang on. Watch for pelicans on those seawalls. Those are the areas that have all the action, and the average snook in my area is 6 to 16 pounds. Now I got a photo there. That's Captain Jeff Brower of Fort Pierce. He caught that 39-inch snook on a 4-pierce flat, and he was using a live pilchard for bait.
All right, Mike, before we go on, I want to actually look at the Navionics from your region. Now, we're talking about the St. Lucie River here. Now, the key to this, guys, is understand that in this particular river, this time of year, all the docks and the seawalls along this edge right here are actually, if you go in there early in the morning, throw topwater plugs, it's gonna be great for big snook and also some jack crevalles. Now, along this shoreline, if you have an outgoing tide, guys, the fish are gonna get pushed, the mullet, which is what all the fish are feeding on, are gonna get pushed up against these points. So make sure you check out the points, and you'll actually find that you can catch some really big fish there. You can also use a big live mullet. That's the Navionics stuff for this week. All right, what else we got for us inshore, Mike?
Well, the warm weather has a resident tarpon feeding at dawn, and that means places like the Intercoastal Waterway in Palm Beach, the Loxahatchee River, the North and South Forks of the St. Lucie River, they all have those small fish rolling at dawn. And these are arbitrarily rolling resident fish. They're a lot harder to catch than a tight-moving school like you see coming down the beach or going through the Keys. Now, at the same time, we're seeing that first trickle of the larger migratory fish pushing into the inlet and into the Intercoastal Waterway. So, excuse me, for the smaller fish, a live finger mullet or a pilchard, or if you want to throw flies, a yellow or a brown and orange colored fly, just throw it at the fish as they roll. For the big fish, near the inlets, an 8 to 12-inch live mullet floated behind the boat at either first light or just after dark, particularly on the outgoing tides is the way to go. Now, the smaller fish, the resident fish, are 10 to 30 pounds, and then as you get to the inlets, the migratory fish are 40 to 80 pounds. So the talking bite's just starting to pick up, guys.
All right, let's go offshore, Mike.
Yeah, it's big dolphin time, man. The big fish of spring are here. In the last week, there were dolphin of 48, 51, and 52 pounds caught out of Palm Beach County waters, along with a good number of gaffer-sized fish. And that action came in anywhere from 110 to 600 feet of water. But the best stuff seems to be on the shallower end of that range. And unfortunately, the best dolphin action has been during the worst weather conditions, particularly that north and east winds and really rough seas. Look for the color changes, the weed lines, and anything floating. And on a side note, there's been a bunch of triple tail on anything floating lately, so keep a little rod ready for them. For baits, throw a rig ballyhoo or mullet just to cover water. If you find a nice weed line or color change, you can slow troll it with live thread fins, Spanish sardines, mullet, or blue runners, or you can even shut down and drift or put up a kite. And as always, have a bunch of spinning rods with either a 1-ounce hookup jig or cut bait ready in case you get into the schoolie. And the average dolphin right now is 8 to 20 pounds. And those same defined edges and color changes in less than 200 feet of water are not only holding dolphin, but they're also holding a good number of wahoo, and wahoo of all sizes. Coming off last week's full moon, we had a pretty good wahoo bite going, particularly off northern Palm Beach County and southern Martin County. We just got our first good push of the summer bonita. A lot of those bonita are really small, say, 6 to 8 pounds, and the wahoo are all over them. They're just chewing them up. Find a rip, an edge, a color change. Slow troll a live double hook blue runner or one of those bullet bonitas on number 8 wire. Look for large floating objects that sit deep in the water column. Work those areas. You can also troll a double hook ballyhoo or a swimming mullet with a red and black islander and a 20 to 40 ounce trolling weight, or put it out on a planer or a downward or a wire line. Really just do anything you can do to get that bait below the surface of the wahoo like to feed. Average wahoo, 20 to 40 pounds. I got a photo just to give you an example. That's 10-year-old Andrew Gardner. He caught his first wahoo fishing with his father out of the St. Lucie Inlet, and that fish ate a troll ballyhoo on a shotgun line in 210 feet of water.
As we always talk about, give me the bass report, Mike.
Well, if you like to fish the South Florida canals, this is the start of the peacock bass spawn, and there were quite a few fish carrying up on last week's full moon. So that means the C2, the C4, the C8, the C9, and the C100 canals are on fire right now. A lot of fish working the edges of the box cut canals and up along the banks as well. And peacocks really like that hot weather, so you don't need to get an early start. However, dawn is when you'll find the fish schooling and busting along the edges of the canal. If you like to throw topwater plugs, you want to be there for that bite. Otherwise, live shiners, roadrunner jigs, lipless crankbaits, chartreuse-colored flies or minnow flies, those are the way to go. And peacocks are notorious short strikers. So if you see a fish flash on your lure, reel it in real quick, throw it right back to the same spot, and you'll get that fish to bite a second time around. Average peacock right now is 1 to 4 pounds, but they're catching them to 7 pounds and 30 a trip right now.
All right, thanks, Mike. A great report. Let's wait for starting us off. The East Region Bennett Auto hot spots this week are inshore. Snook and gangster jacks on the seawall of the Lockahachie River, live mullet, topwater plugs, and 20 to 30 pound tackle. Fish the higher stages of the tide where there's lots of water along the wall. And then offshore, dolphin, sailfish, and wahoo, 120 to 210 feet of water from Lake Worth Pier to Hobe Sound. Troll ballyhoo, slow troll blue runners or thread fins, and some big kings are also mixed in. Woo.
Great stuff from our leadoff region, Rick. All right, now let's head south to our La Jolla region. Randy Tao has the week off, but Captain Mark Johnson is holding things down in the Florida Keys tonight. Hi, Mark. What can you share with us about the snook in your area?
Hey, hello, everybody. It's Captain Mark Johnson live on the anchor at Indian Key Fiddle here in Islamorada. So we're live from the boat, and let's talk some snook fishing right off the bat. You know, after the freeze we had 3 years ago, everybody's had their fingers crossed watching the snook make a recovery, and we're seeing really good positive signs of snook last year as well as this year. And as we get into this summertime, when they start to spawn on the beach, everybody's really looking forward to that, because that's going to be a big indication of how the recovery is going. As far as catch a snook down here right now, there's a couple different ways you can fish for them. If you like to throw bait, you can fish around the mangrove islands of the national park or up in the shorelines or in some of the deeper channels. And for bait set up, we're fishing a lot of live pinfish, a live pilchard, or a small finger mullet, as the mullet run is in full swing now. And mullet's a great bait in the backcountry. And you can fish that on a bobber or a float or a popping cork with 2 or 3 feet of 30 or 40 pound leader material on a 5 or 6/0 circle hook, or even a Hank Brown hookup if you want to put a little weight to it. And that's a great way to catch a snook around the trees or in the deeper water. If you're up on the flats and you're looking for them, you want to try to find that mullet mud. The mullets are all over the flats. Everybody loves to feed on them. And the snooks will get in there and they'll hide in that dirty water and play peekaboo. And you can blind cast a gold spoon. You can throw some big white rubber worms. You can even throw a little top water if the grass isn't too bad. And you can get a really good reactionary bite, and you can catch some of the larger fish throwing the bigger worms.
All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mark. Tell me about the tarpon fishing inshore. What's happening with that?
My man, the tarpon fishing is red hot this year. We've been doing it every day this week. Bait at night, fly fishing during the day. The weather has been fantastic up until today. You guys probably saw some rain all around Miami. The tarpon bite is on. We're fishing a lot of live and dead mullet during the day, and we're fishing crabs at night. And you're drifting around the local bridges and passes, as I'm getting ready to do right now. And we're having great success catching fish anywhere from 80 to about 140 pounds. And a lot of the boats are reporting with multiple hookups. And again, you're fishing that fresh live mullet, and you're fishing a leader material of at least 60 pounds upwards to 100. And you want to fish it on a nice circle hook, 8 or 9/0, and you want to put them on a float. And if you're fishing the fresh dead bait on the bottom, you're fishing a heavier leader, a same size circle hook with about a 1/2 or 3/4 ounce lead right on top of the hook. It's well known as a knocker rig.
All right.
And
so let's take
that's great fishing right now.
That sounds good. Let's take a breath and let's go offshore now. So what's your report from down there, bud?
You know, offshore right now, we got 2 things going on. If you're in on the reef, yellowtail. Yellowtail fishing is very good this spring, and a lot of yellowtail fishing here in the Keys is condition related. So if you can get good current going one way or the other, and the dirtier water you can find is your best chances of catching yellowtail. Now, yellowtail get fished pretty hard in the Keys, and the one common denominator to have some good yellowtail fishing is chumming. You got to chum, and you can't be skimping on the chum. You got to chum, you got a powered chum, and if you can get the fish up in the chum slick, you can use a variety of cut or live bait, whether it's a piece of squid, a deboned shrimp, or de-shelled shrimp rather. You can use ballyhoo strip, and you're fishing on a light line, 12, 15-pound small circle hook, and you're free lining that bait in your chum slick, catching keeper-sized yellowtail. And there's not much of better eating fish on the reef than that.
What else you got happening offshore, Mark?
You know, right now, springtime is big dolphin, mahi-mahi, everybody's favorite table fare, and you're catching most of your big slammers right now in the next couple weeks coming into May is the time you're going to find those big bulls and cows moving off of the reef, and they're going to be anywhere from 15 to 50 pounds, and they like to travel in groups and pairs. So if you find the birds working and you can get up in the tower and find yourself some big fish pushing flying fish around, you got a great chance to catch the big slammers, everybody's favorite. And also, too, out there while you're looking for them, the man in the blue suit, the blue marlin, he's been seen a couple times already, and eating a smaller dolphin is one of the most favorite things he likes to do.
All right.
But you're not too far offshore now. You don't have to go far like you do in the month of June and July. You're catching these fish anywhere from 5 to 12 miles off the beach.
All right, well, that's a great report from the La Jolla region, Mark. Thanks for filling in for Randy, and I'm going to go ahead and get to the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. All right, Captain Mark says, inshore, tarpon. Look along the oceanside edges of the flats in front of the bridges on the outgoing tide, which is what he's doing right now. And then offshore, dolphin. Look for the current and the birds in 400 to 800 feet of water. Troll ballyhoo with bright colored skirts, Lauren.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Now let's check in and see what tournaments are going on in the Keys. First off, the Mother's Dolphin Tournament in Marathon is scheduled for May 10th and 11th. It features $5,000 for the heaviest dolphin caught, and it benefits Habitat for Humanity. Next up, anglers fishing the Outback Golden Fly Invitational Tournament, scheduled for May 19th to the 22nd in Isla Mirada, must use a tournament-furnished tippet not greater than 16-pound test. Also, the Keys-wide Florida Keys Dolphin Championship, set for Memorial Day weekend, features a $15,000 top cash prize, plus the opportunity to win a $75,000 Sea Hunter Bay boat for the angler who catches the largest dolphin. And lastly, the Yamaha Dolphins Master Invitational, May 25th in Key West, is More than $13,000 is offered to the angler who scores the highest combined weight of 3 dolphin catches. Rick, so much prizes out there this morning. My goodness.
Speaking of the prize, we need to talk about Andy Newman.
I think we should. We're going to give it over to Andy Newman now in the Florida Keys to find out more about our featured tournament. Hey, Andy.
Let's talk about some more cash prizes here because there's more than $35,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs during the original Big Pine and Lower Keys Dolphin Tournament. That's set for May 17th to the 19th. Now, Rick and Lauren, the 20th edition of this tournament is presented by the Lower Keys Chamber of Commerce, and it features a guaranteed $7,500 prize for the largest dolphin caught. Now, if that winning dolphin weighs more than 50 pounds, hey, chalk up another $20,000 to that winner. Now, the tournament's special guest host is none other than Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report's own Rick Murphy. Now, more details on the Big Pine and Lower Keys Dolphin Tournament, it's at the lowerkeyschamber.com website or on the Florida Keys website, and that's flakeys.com. Now, Rick, I know that as the honored guest host, you still get to fish in this tournament, but you got to promise, if you win any of that prize money, you got to share it with Lauren and myself. That's you in the studio.
I'll give it to both of you guys.
Excellent idea, Andy. Rick, I'm wondering, are the paparazzi going to be distracting?
No. They don't have fish paparazzi.
Yeah, right. All right, stay with us. On the other side of the break, we head to the Southwest. Plus, Dave is at the Workbench, ready to take you off the deep end. Also, make sure to check out our website, ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at ChevyFIFRTV.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Lottery, Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer, best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply, Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company, Chevy, the IGFA, Conservation Through Education, Get Your Hands Wet, and Olukai.
Listen. This Chevy Silverado is not happy. It's not happy because it's not doing anything. Because it knows you have a to-do list with unchecked boxes. Because it was built to constantly be on the prowl to get more done. Patience is not the Silverado's virtue. Doing is. The dependable, reliable Chevy Silverado.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Imagine brighter futures, where doors open for Florida students every day. Imagine building a better tomorrow, where playing means we all win. Now celebrating $25 billion to education in 25 years. The Florida Lottery, just imagine.
Looking for some action? You've come to the right place. The Florida Keys and Key West. Yeah.
Now let's go over our news and notes from the FWC. All month long, learn the ABCs about boating safety at various locations throughout the state of Florida. And ladies, let's go fishing Treasure Coast in Stuart, Florida at Pirates Cove Resort and Marina, May 10th to the 12th. You can find more information at myfwc.com. Now it's time to head off the deep end.
Dave, we're over here at the Jägermeister Workbench like
Yes, we
every
are.
week, and I gotta tell you, I love to talk about snook. So
Well, you know,
take it and run, baby.
I get to be the editor of Marlin Magazine, so the blue marlin has to be my favorite fish, but my real favorite fish is the snook. I love to catch snook. I don't get to catch them near as much as I'd like, but if I got my chance to go catch any fish, I'd be going snook fishing. So.
All right, sounds like a Sportsman's Adventure episode. To me.
Exactly,
So
sounds like it. I caught my
invite
first snook on a bucktail jig, a white bucktail jig, which is, you know, apropos because these, you know, fish are eating white bait. That's what their favorite bait is, either a shrimp or a little white fish, a croaker, a pilchard, whatever it is, and anything that mimics that, from a bucktail jig to a mirror lure, any of the small little fish lures. If you're going to be using a lure, that's what you want to pick up. A nice shiny lure. A lot of guys will tell you, you know, when you first get to a spot and you want to find some snook, pick the shiniest thing in your box and rip it, you know, and try to see what's there and get them up and going. And that's really how you can get a hold of a lot of big snook. Jig fishing, I fished with Mr. Ronnie Houston and Jeffrey Page. They love to use that jig and the soft plastic
chartreuse head hook up.
Yeah, they love to
jig
use
head.
that. And Ronnie's always saying, you know, you're the only action, man. You gotta work it. You gotta work it. At the same time, in certain places, you don't really want to work them. There's like when you're fishing in the inlet, you want to just slowly bounce them on the bottom.
Right.
Especially jig fishing or even plug fishing with a big lipped plug like a Bomber Long A or something like that.
Right.
And you're ripping it. You want it to be bouncing off the bottom and off the rocks. If you're not losing a lot of baits, if you're not losing plugs, and if you're not losing jigs, you're not doing it right. You need to get down on the bottom and bounce it, especially when and you want to be fishing at the peak flow. You know, you don't want to wait until it's slack tide. They're not going to be eating much when they're slack tide. They're an ambush predator. They like for the tide and the current to bring prey to them. So they're always going to be trying to find a little eddy, a little place where they can stay out of the current, but where they have access to all the stuff coming by.
Yeah, like a dock pylon.
A dock pylon, a big bridge abutment, you know, at Sebastian Inlet. You know, you get behind on a big incoming tide, you get behind the things and you catch a croaker on the bottom, and you put a croaker on this rig right here, you know, a nice 4/0 Senator type reel. This one's a little customized with a 30-pound braid and a 100-pound, up to 100-pound even leader. Because if you hook a nice big one around the bottom of Sebastian Inlet Bridge,
big circle hook, strong.
A big circle hook. You're going to get in those pilings, and he's going to try to get you off. And you got to have, you know, good heavy leader. Now, when you're out on the flats and stuff, you know, you're going to catch the smaller ones usually. I like to, you know, I've always got a chug bug on there.
You're the chug bug king.
I like to have a chug bug on there.
You like making noise.
I do, and not only that, this is a lure that I picked up in Australia. It's a Lee's lure, and it's got a huge cupped face on it. It's a barramundi lure, which is very similar to a snook, and I've caught quite a few fish on those. I try not to show those around.
You keep secrets.
Show those around too much, but you know, if you get you a general bass rod, a 7-foot spinning rod with 20-pound braid and some 20-pound fluorocarbon, that's going to be your regular, your snook rod for, you know, nighttime fishing and whatnot. It's only when you start fishing around bridges and heavy current that you're going to need to get up to that 30-pound braid and real heavy leaders, because a 30-pound snook is going to pull. A 30-pound snook in a haul butt current is going to pull twice as hard, and you know, you got to have a lot of heavy drag. You pretty much lock that thing up to pull them out of there. Some of the fellows I watch that do that, they go down, they got a big boat pole, and you're thinking, this guy's going fishing for bull sharks.
Right.
He's not. He's catching huge snook right at his feet.
And tightening down the
leader.
drag.
The leader never really even gets off. He's probably 100-pound tight, right to him, and it's just like, it's something to see. It's big fun, and especially when they catch them, because then it's fun to eat it.
It sounds like spillway.
They're delicious.
Spillway fishing
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. There you go.
Well, speaking of spillways, it's time for us to spill into another region, Lauren, so where are we going?
That it is. Right now, we're going to look to the Southwest region where Captain Ron Houston hangs around. Now, Ronnie, tell us about the fish of the week in your area.
Well, basically, snook in my region, all through the region, can generally be caught inshore, offshore, and in the backcountry. Now, what you got to understand, once you get into the wintertime, you want to concentrate on fishing backcountry and a lot of residential canals. And generally that time of year with the water temperatures dropping, live shrimp can be a good bait, or a variety of artificial lip plugs and soft plastics. But for water, spring through summer, concentrate on nearshore wrecks, beaches, passes, and mangrove shorelines, also very relevant outer Gulf points. Baits of choice can include live mullet, pinfish, threadfins, and pilchards. Artificial baits, just about anything, to include flies, my favorite, walk-the-dog lures, a variety of gold spoons, 4 to 5 inch crankbaits, and a variety of soft plastics such as the Bass Assassin shrimp, 4-inch paddle tails, and 5-inch shads. Colors for the artificial include glow, root beer, chartreuse, black and silver, golden brim, and new penny. Typically, the snook in my region right now are 22 to 40 inches. This has probably been one of the better years. We're starting to see a comeback. We started seeing a lot of jack for valves for the first time this year. We got a little better snook bite. Although we got a long way to go, it's starting to improve.
All right, what else you got for me inshore, Ronnie?
You know, we've had a lot of rain all week, and we're having rain forecasted into the weekend. But with the rain we've had, it's dipped the water temps down some and the air temps. Trout bite's been great, anywhere from Jug Creek to Demir Key. Now, you want to concentrate on early morning and late afternoon incoming until dark. We'll have 2 incoming tides on that part of the day. Concentrate on channel edges, troughs, and potholes in depths of 2 to 4 feet of water. Now, my favorite for the trouts are the noise-making corks or the top water plugs and 4-inch paddle tails or shrimp imitations on a jig head. Now, the colors for the soft plastics can be glow, root beer, and chicken on a chain. Also, for the top water plugs or crankbaits, you want to concentrate on using bone, red and white, black and silver, or bone and chartreuse for the top waters. Right now, typical size of these fish are 15 to 25 inches. Don't be surprised if you get lucky and catch a trout anywhere from 28 to 31 inches.
All right, let's go offshore, bud.
You know, offshore with the reports I give, guys, watch the weather. It's been raining all week, and the rain's forecasted into the weekend, and it's been heavy. The triple tail bite's been good, especially with the cooler water temps. Concentrate on fishing all through the region until about 15 miles out. Concentrated on noted structure, and when you're on that structure, watch the current line while you're anchored up for passing fish. You also want to concentrate on head pins, crab pots, and swim buoys. Now, obviously, this is a run-and-gun bite, but the baits include live shrimp, pilchards, free-liner under a cork, also a variety of artificial 4-inch paddle tails, shrimp imitations, and bucktail jigs tipped with shrimp. Typical size right now, there's a lot of small ones, but 3 to 15 pounds. Also, the red grouper bite still remains to be great. You want to concentrate right now all through the region, anywhere from Marco Island to Lemon Bay. Now, the pattern is, most guys might disagree with this pattern, but for some of the most bigger fish, reports I've gotten for bigger fish and quicker limits, concentrate right now in depths of 38 to 60 feet. You want to concentrate on hard bottom and ledges using cut squid, herring and sardines, also old school white bucktails with glowworms or tipped with squid. Also speed jigs will work. Like I said, plenty to be caught, and you can't catch them in closer. It just takes a while to get the bigger fish. And always keep an eye out for that weather because it's supposed to be raining into the weekend.
All right, great job, Midnight. We're going to go ahead and get to the Southwest regional hotspots. Captain Midnight, Captain Ronnie says, inshore, tarpon, Indian Key to Fort Myers Beach, 6 to 20 feet of water. Look for the fish rolling and free jumping. And then offshore, permit, fishing the wrecks, towers, schools of tarpon, up to 30 miles out using live crabs. So we're going to make sure we look for tarpon and permit offshore.
All right, guys, now we want to welcome a special guest, Mr. Phil Rack from Lumber Rock. Phil, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
coming. You know,
Thank you.
Phil, you guys built this dock for us over 4 years ago.
Right.
Tell us what has changed with Lumber Rock in those 4 years.
In the last 4 years, Rick, we've added new profiles, we've added new colors, we've added a new embossing pattern, some really exciting things.
So let me ask you, why should somebody consider Lumber Rock over a typical dock that's, you know, wood plank?
Once you build a dock, a pier, a marina with Lumber Rock, it's one and done. You're not gonna, in your environment down here, you're lucky if you get 5 years. With our product, it's done once, it's not gonna fade, it's not gonna stain, mold, mildew, anything.
Now, let me ask you something. You mentioned colors at the very beginning.
Yes.
So does that mean that we can potentially customize our dock, making it the colors we want?
Actually, yes. We have 10 stock custom colors. And in addition to that, we can actually do a custom color for somebody. If we have a marina owner that wants to match a particular color and scheme in his marina, we can do that.
All right, now I noticed that you got a couple new pieces, and we talked about how friendly it is environmentally. Tell me what it's really made out of, Phil.
Plastic. 75% post-consumer recycled plastic. There's a mineral in there that we add for stiffness. And so we are taking plastic out of landfills.
Oh, okay. So like a milk jug.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I noticed we got a new strip here. What do we use this for? This is an awful small dock. It's going to take a lot to build one of
It's a
those.
small dock, but it's a great piling strip.
Oh, okay. So we put it on the piling to keep our boats from beating up against the piling.
Exactly, and it looks great.
All right, Phil, if guys want to know where they can find more information about Lumber Rock, how they're going to do that?
Please go to our website, lumberrock.com. There's a spot there to request more information. We'll get that out to you and get a dealer in your area for you.
Hey, thank you for
Rick,
coming. We
thank you.
appreciate your involvement here with the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right,
Tons of
Laura.
great info there, Phil. Love that this is the green choice.
This is it.
That's super
This is
cool.
the green
Love
choice.
that. All right, guys, when we return, we're going to let you know where you can find the whole gang from the Chevy Florida Insider Report on tour. Stick around.
Awesome. Thank you.